In a small village, there lived a wise and calm man. His face always reflected peace and steadiness. One day, a young man came to him and said, "Teach me how to remain peaceful without letting the outside world affect me." The wise man smiled and asked the young man to walk with him towards the mountains. The young man was eager, wondering what kind of answer he would receive. As they walked along the path, they crossed a river. The wise man said, "This river flows peacefully because it accepts its path without resistance. Just as the water flows, we too must accept the flow of our lives without resistance." The young man nodded, but his doubts still lingered in his mind. Continuing their journey, they sat under a large tree. The wise man said, "This tree has stood here for years, enduring storms and rain, yet it remains firm. Like this tree, we must remain steady in the face of life's challenges." The young man pondered the words, trying to grasp their meaning. After some time, they reached an open field. Suddenly, strong winds began to blow. The wise man closed his eyes and stood still, feeling the wind on his face. The young man watched in amazement, noticing how the wind did not move him at all. "Look," the wise man said, "this wind cannot move me because I haven't given it the power to." In life, external things only affect us when we give them the power to influence us. The young man thought deeply about these words, realizing their importance. The young man asked, "But what about emotions? They arise on their own." The wise man replied, "Emotions are natural, but your reaction to them is within your control. A calm mind can endure anything." The young man began to see the wisdom behind controlling one's reactions. The wise man picked up a small stone and handed it to the young man. "Hold this stone and keep holding it until it feels heavy," he said. The young man held the stone, and after a while, his grip began to loosen as the weight felt unbearable. Just as this stone feels heavy over time, so do your problems if you keep holding on to them. Let go, and see how light you feel. The young man dropped the stone and immediately felt a sense of relief and lightness. They then arrived at the edge of a calm lake. The wise man gazed at the water and said, "When the water is still, everything becomes clear." Similarly, when you are calm, your life becomes clear. The young man stood in silence, contemplating the peacefulness of the water. The young man said, "I still don't believe I can remain calm in every situation." The wise man smiled and replied, "This comes with practice. Just as a fisherman waits patiently for the fish, you too must be patient in learning to calm your mind." As they continued their walk, they reached the top of a small hill. The wise man said, "When you're on a high point, the view below becomes clear. Similarly, when you rise above your thoughts, the truth of life becomes clear." The young man was slowly beginning to understand. "So," he said, "peace comes from within, not from external circumstances." The wise man nodded. "Exactly. No one can take away your peace unless you give them the power to." They started their journey back to the village. While walking, the wise man said, "Every day is an opportunity to decide what you will let affect you and what you will not. Always prioritize your peace." The young man felt a growing sense of understanding. When they reached the village, the young man's face reflected peace. He said, "I now understand that peace comes from within. I can't search for it outside." The wise man smiled and bid him farewell, knowing that the young man had learned a valuable lesson. The young man returned to his life, applying the lesson in every aspect. He realized that nothing could disturb his mind unless he allowed it. No matter what the situation, he could now live in calmness and peace.